It's time for Real Talk with Brian and Dan, the weekly talk radio show dedicated to discussing important real estate topics, plus insight into the local community. With a combined experience of over 50 years as local real estate brokers from the Eastside Real Estate Team at Keller Williams Realty Bellevue. Here's your hosts, Brian Levitt and Dan Edwards.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW. It is the quarantined edition of the Real Talk. It's Wednesday, March 18th, 2020, and it is the apocalypse, ladies and gentlemen. But we are glad you're listening today. As you know, you can listen to us on the radio. We're also live streaming right now on YouTube. You can just hop on there and you'll see nobody because we're outside the studio. But you can always check out our YouTube channel, where we're going to have these past live streams sitting here ready for you to partake. We're also going to be podcasted live anywhere podcasts are casted, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. And, we have these broadcasts available on our website, the eastsiderealestateteam.com. We appreciate you listening today. We've got a really unique show. It's going to be a quick show. Well, it's going to be a full hour, but we're a packed hour, Brian. We've got some really cool guests today that I'm excited to feature. And we're going to talk, of course, about some real estate. So today we have Doug Peterson. He's a return guest with Get Priorities Straight. Man, a timely conversation this will be, Doug. Erin Andrews of Indi Chocolate and Art Stone of Honest Biscuits. But before we get to our guest today, let's start with some real talk. Brian, buying a home in today's market is going to seem a little interesting, I think, to many. What are you seeing out there today?
A little bit different. It's still a hot market. I mean, we saw it at our open houses, even with us working on our social distancing, we still had packed open houses. So I think right now is actually a little bit of a good opportunity for buyers to have an equal footing, because this social distancing has slowed us down a little bit. We're doing more meetings just like this one, a Zoom meeting. And we're also doing video tours of houses, which and we're looking at a little bit longer timeframes on offer reviews to give people time to meet the new criteria we're all living with.
Yeah, it's interesting. Brian, I know for myself, we were looking at this year. We've talked about it on the show. Yeah. We're looking at how this year was going to become an accelerated, really tough market for buyers, making it difficult for them to have to compete. And as this was all going down, I was in negotiations with a couple who were looking for their next home. And we talked about it. We had the heart to heart and kind of saying what's best. And really their goals, Brian, were to be somewhere that they could raise their family, to be closer to their family. So it wasn't like they plan on moving there and then, just maybe selling in a couple of years. This was a home that they're looking for a while. So at the end of the day, they ended up getting bidding early and getting the home, and they're ecstatic. They are so happy.
Nice. So you say they like the place they're going to be quarantined in?
That's right. Totally.
There you go. If you don't like where you're quarantined, call us. We can help.
Yeah. But I think there is some serious concern about jobs, and I think it's important. So one of the things that I think we're going to see over the next 6 months is 3 kind of tiers. And I say the first-time home buyer market will probably be the one that's hardest hit. Don't you think, Brian?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because essentially there's a level of uncertainty in that pay base, but then that medium level where we know our underlying industry in the Seattle area is technology, and right now they're thriving. I mean, if it weren't for stuff like this, people would be running into a complete lack of productivity. But the truth is, there's a lot of people that are still working.
Right. And also we're looking at government stepping up and closing the gaps that, I think will carry a lot of people through. It's going to be hard times for a lot of people, but I think that for one thing, it'll probably thin out that first-time buyer, that first tier you're talking about. And the second, I think there's opportunity for them to move up into that ultimate dream home, which opens up more inventory for that, for each of the tiers.
So what's it mean for sellers?
Right now, I think there's a little bit of apprehension in the market, but I see homes coming on the market, and I see them turning them over quickly. So I think it's a great time for sellers.
And we had a tremendous turnout in our open houses. One of the challenges we're now finding is that the Northwest Multiple has restricted open houses through the end of March. So we're getting innovative. We can do virtual brokers open houses, which essentially is going to allow serious buyers to see the home. And I think too, Brian, going back to the old school of open houses are good. They're important, especially because of how our market has been. But it doesn't replace the fact that you want somebody walking through with a real estate agent that has qualified that buyer first.
Right. That's
right. So it's learning to adapt.
Yep.
Let's see. So buyers, sellers, I think the buyers, though, the ones that have the ability to move are going to take advantage. And we'll talk about this coming up in our next segment, but take advantage of the interest rates right now. So how does that affect a buyer in today's market?
The interest rates?
Yes.
Oh, much more affordable. They can buy more house. So, I think it's a great time. There's never been a better time to buy.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So, see that before.
Yeah. So are you touring people in person right now, Brian?
Yeah, I am. And, but I'm also doing some live video tours where, FaceTime or Hangouts walk through, and that way I'm not just doing a video and sending it to them. It's real time. I had a lady the other day give me a close up of the kitchen cabinets, and so I walk through and show each of the cabinets while she's talking, through to me about what she wants to see. And it's a little different way of doing business, but it works.
It works. All right. So there is a challenge out there, I think. And I think the biggest challenge is not reacting in emotion, not reacting in fear, and being sensible about your wants and needs, having a conversation. We can do a personal meeting just like this one where we're on, right now we're on a Zoom meeting. This morning I did a Microsoft meeting with someone and Google Hangouts. So we've got the technology. And I would say if you're curious what it would look like, I've got somebody that they were sitting on the cash before the whole crash, and now they feel like they have a really good position of leverage. And I think that's the case.
Agreed.
All right. Well, that concludes our Real Talk segment for today. And if you're interested in this and other topics that we've covered in our Real Talk segment, please check out our blog at theeastsiderealestateteam.com/blog. And if you'd like to talk to us directly about your real estate questions, feel free to contact us at 425-200-4093. We thank you for listening. Coming up next, we're going to have our mortgage moment with a new lender. It's Mike Tripodi, and he is with Keller Mortgage. So come back with us right after this short commercial break. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. It's now time for our mortgage moment segment. During this segment, we're going to talk about mortgages, but we're most importantly introducing Keller Mortgage to the scene. We've worked with a couple of different mortgage brokers, fantastic ones. They're going to continue to be a part of our mortgage moment. But today we're introducing a new alliance that we have through a special mortgage company. And welcoming to the show today, we have Mike Tripodi with Keller Mortgage. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
So Mike, how long have you been working with Keller Mortgage?
I've been with Keller Mortgage for a little over 2 years now.
Over 2 years, and I think that's when they started. Is that right?
No, actually, we got started back in, 2015.
Okay.
Roughly.
Okay, and then so that's when you started in the business, back in 2015.
When I started in the business, I got 25 years experience.
Oh, okay.
As a mortgage loan officer. Yeah, just been with Keller Mortgage for a little over 2 years now.
Okay, fantastic. So what's happening in the market right now?
Well, right now, we are busy with the 0+ mortgage loan, which means when you have a Keller Williams agent that is representing you, or you're buying from a Keller Williams listing, we will waive our lender fees. So you won't have processing, underwriting, you won't have origination fees. These are some of the fees that you're going to see with other lenders. In addition to that, we're going to kick in $1,000 towards your other cost. your title, and so on. Furthermore, we don't charge you up front for the appraisal. You're only going to pay for the appraisal if you close on the home. So if you enter into a contract and for whatever reason you back out, the deal, the contract terminates, you're not liable for the appraisal. You're not having to fork out an appraisal fee for another contract. So those are some of the monetary benefits with Keller Mortgage and Keller Williams together.
Well, I don't know of any other lenders that are doing that. That's quite something.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How does the experience compare for the user?
Yeah, well, it's a very simple process. A lot of our applications, well, all of our applications are done online through our portal that can be accessed through your Keller Williams agent and their app. So you just ask your agent, how do you save thousands with Keller Mortgage? They'll send you an application link. You'll go onto our portal. You'll fill in an application. You'll be able to upload your income and asset documentation right through the secure portal. And then everything goes to our underwriting department for a pre-approval initially.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Mike, that's about all the time we have for you. And I'm glad that we were able to get you on the line and present, because especially in these uncertain financial times, you've got to find spots where you can save as much money as possible. And we're proud to offer that through our affiliation with Keller Mortgage.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Thanks for coming
Mike.
on. All right. Next up, after the break, we've got Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight, who's going to be sharing how to manage money in these uncertain times. Come on back after this break for some more Real Talk. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Our first guest today is Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight. Doug has found his passion for owning his own business at the young age and has done so ever since. In 2001, Doug began coaching and mentoring high-income earners to improve business results and find more satisfaction in life. While Doug has experienced the fruits of success, life hasn't been there without a bitter taste of occasional failures. At this stage in his life, Doug has noticed an opportunity to make a bigger, lasting differences in the lives of his clients. Doug created GPS to help navigate his clients safely through some of life's challenges. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you back. Now, we've talked hobbies and interests before, but just for those listeners that maybe missed the first segment, tell us about your hobbies and interests.
Well, other than family and friends, which is the most important, I love travel and crabbing and cooking, and I have converted my garage into a karaoke bar.
What?
It's the
Really?
Peterson Moonbeam Lounge. Did we not cover this on the last show?
I don't recall that. That's
Nope, I
great.
remembered that one.
I can send you a link.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Literally clotheslines with sheets.
When does it open up? When does the lounge open?
Well, there's distancing right now.
Social distancing.
You don't
Yeah.
have to stand out in the driveway.
That's
You
great.
can still sing.
Yeah, that's good. You just have to sing a little loud. Did you see that video of the folks in Italy singing the national anthem?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was really
Well, I got a new drink for your karaoke bar. Have you heard about the Quarantini?
cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I understand they work well if you take enough to get numb. It actually counteracts the virus.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's that vodka. There you go.
Or maybe that was Corona beer. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right. Hey, tell us about the fond memory of the home you grew up in.
You know, we were in a neighborhood where they didn't build fences, and all the yards were connected. So one of my fondest memories is all the kids playing and running from yard to yard and playing all the kid games, Kick the Can and Red Rover, and the games that we played when we were kids. Whoops. And it was just great, because when it got dark, my mom blew a whistle, and that's when we had to come home.
There you go.
That's good.
That's
Back in
awesome.
the
Yep. So tell us what GPS does.
Well, I'm going to first start by telling you what we don't do, because
Okay.
that helps clarify. We don't do financial planning. We don't manage investments. We don't sell any products like life insurance or disability. What we do is help clients align their personal finances with what's important to them. go from reactive to proactive instead of spending the money and going, wow, that was an expensive month, but deciding where you want your money to go instead of wondering where it went, and know every day where you stand. It's building bridges with husbands and wives. It's eliminating stress and just making it a lot less emotional around money so you can do more of what you like to do.
So in KW, Keller Williams culture, we have what we call the big why. Why do you do this? What's your big why?
Well, I spent the last 20 years as an executive mentor helping clients get where they want to go. And one constant theme I saw, and I probably worked with over 25 people on this, was their personal finances being ignored. And it creating problems in their marriage. It created problems with their business, their health. And to be truly transparent, I didn't get on the same page with my spouse until 2016. And I'm supposed to know how to do this stuff. I actually wrote this program in 1996. And it was so much work. We did it on Excel that I just stopped doing it myself. It was too much work. Now with technology, it works really, really well. So now it's making a difference in people's lives.
So with the way things are right now, Doug, what can people do with their finances?
Well, you've probably heard this before, but the first thing is don't panic. Fear and panic don't help anyone. And the simplest thing to do is to just sit down and decide, what do you really need to spend? What are the requirements to keep the doors open? And then just cut some stuff that isn't as important right now.
No, I think it's important to have that conversation because, as Brian said, one of the things that's great about the culture of Keller Williams is we always are discussing not the market that we're in, but the market we're headed to. And so conversations about a shift in the market have been there now for just as long as they have about a shift in the stock market. And the first thing that Gary tells us to do is be brutal with your finances. Cut it. And yesterday myself, I cut about $1,000 a month with just a couple of things that were redundant or that we had been planning to get rid of, and we went ahead and finally got rid of it. So getting brutal with your finances is such a great tip.
But that sounds like a diet. It sounds like
it does.
So here's how I'd like you to reframe it.
Cool.
Is brutally cut what you don't care about.
Yeah.
Fund what's important.
Right.
Okay. And it's really not a budget. It's a creative spending plan. You need to pay attention and adjust it. But this whole idea of just cutting just sounds like eating soda crackers and carrots for dinner.
Well, example,
That's a good broccoli or yeah.
We're going to return on investment while we're making decisions. Is this thing doing what it's supposed to do? And, we cut where something isn't performing as expected. It's pretty common. So, Doug, tell us, how do you gain confidence when times are uncertain? You look at the times we got right now. What can you tell our listeners about confidence?
Well, this is something I learned from a mentor of mine, Bob Beal, who's just tremendous. And I have struggled in my life with depression, and I've been in business 37 years. And how do you be confident when you're depressed? I mean, that's
a good
a
point.
tough one. And I often thought it was just hope. But what Bob did for me is he said, confidence is a direct byproduct of predictability. Look what's going on right now. It's unpredictable. It's uncertain. The more you focus on things that are uncertain, the more the lack of comfort you'll have.
The higher level of anxiety.
Yeah, the higher level of anxiety. And if you think about it, let's say you just had knee surgery and I said, let's go for a half a mile walk. You have no confidence you could do that.
Right.
But if I said, let's go for a half a mile walk now, totally, no question. So the way to gain confidence is you need to focus on what you can control. You need to focus
on
buying
toilet paper.
What's that?
Like buying toilet paper.
Well, yeah.
I think that's, I think it's a control thing for people in time of uncertainty.
It's fear. And I've got a great recipe to make cauliflower into toilet paper too, if you want me to post that.
Well, Doug, we've got a packed show, so I wanted to talk about your financial seminar you have and share with the people how they can kind of dig deeper into these philosophies of yours.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to be doing a webinar, and I'll get the link to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be a 30-minute session to talk about how do you deal with uncertainty? What can you do to refocus yourself and not move either to hunkering down or exploding when it gets better,
Mm-hmm.
to some middle ground where you can move forward now, especially if you're frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be a sales pitch. It's to help people with some stress management techniques.
Doug, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you coming on. We value your advice, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Next up after the break, we are going to welcome Erin Andrews of Indi Chocolate, the chocolate maker of Pike Place Market. Come on back for some more Real Talk.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan.
Our next guest is Erin Andrews of Indi Chocolate. Erin Andrews is the chocolate maker of Pike Place Market and has been sourcing beans and making chocolate for over 12 years.
Wow.
She started her first chocolate business in Belize before starting Indi Chocolate closer to home in Seattle. Welcome to the show, Erin.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh,
I've known Erin for, Erin, how long have we known each other now? 18 years?
Yeah, just about.
Wow.
Our kids were pretty young when we first met. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was there for the incubation of the Belize chocolate and into Indi Chocolate. So it's been a long way. We're really glad you came on the show today, Brian. I stepped on your question, so I'll let
no
you.
problem. So, what do you do when you're not making chocolate? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, being a small business owner, I have all the time. But I do love to go kayaking. I love the trails in the Pacific Northwest. And I do love traveling, and that's one of the bonuses of my job is traveling around the world to find great tasting beans from farmers that grow cacao.
Awesome. So
and that's what we use to make our chocolate.
We ask everybody on the show when they come on of a fond memory of the home they grew up in. So what do you got?
Fond memory of the home that we grew up in. Actually, I remember the red, white, and blue carpet that my mom decided was a great idea to put in. It was a red, white, and blue shag carpet.
Ooh,
I was
nice.
very little when we moved out of that house.
Very
I do
patriotic.
have a very vivid memory of that.
Awesome. That's very patriotic.
Nice. So tell us, where does chocolate come from?
Chocolate comes,
don't say Hershey.
In America from a tree called cacao.
Okay.
And it now grows all along the equator, 20 degrees north and south, all around the world.
And, as you decided, I want to be a small business owner, where did the idea of making chocolate come from?
Actually, it was a trip to Belize. My daughter, Indi, asked where chocolate came from, and we were heading off to Belize, and I knew that they had a very long, strong tradition. And so I did a lot of research to learn more, and eventually found somebody that was doing a chocolate week, and that is the person that became my business partner for the very first business I ever started, which was a bean-to-bar chocolate company in Belize.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I heard that you started Indi Chocolate by making body care in your kitchen. Is that true? How'd you get started?
Yes, I like to say Indi Chocolate is the most backwards chocolate company ever because we did not even start with chocolate. What happened is I had started the first company in Belize, but I really wanted something closer to home. And about the same time, my younger daughter had a really bad reaction to body care. And so I did what any parent does, or anybody does that doesn't understand something, is you Google it. And so I Googled the ingredients. There was a neurotoxin and an estrogen inhibitor and 3 known toxin carcinogens. And I thought, why would my little girl ever put something like this on her body? And so I thought, I work with cocoa butter when I'm down in Belize making chocolate. And there's a reason why cocoa butter is in body care. And so I started making lotion and lip balm. And now we have soaps as well that all use cocoa butter. And so I started making them for my kids, and we literally had people coming up and saying, hey, can I buy your daughter's, body care or lotion or a lip balm? And people wanted to buy it. And so I was thinking about creating a small company, starting a company close to home. All my money was down in Belize, and people are coming up to ask to buy something that I'm already making. So that's actually how I started Indi Chocolate. I like to say we're very scrappy, indie, small company. And I started with the lotion and lip balms I made in my kitchen to be able to afford the equipment, the beans, and the other items to make chocolate.
So
And,
this all sounds really
go ahead.
interesting, but can you also make soap, chocolate soap? I mean, that could be dangerous, right? Because you get this big bar of something and you bite into it and it's not chocolate.
I don't recommend washing your mouth out with soap with it, but I think our chocolate tastes a lot better. But actually, it's kind of fascinating in the day of the coronavirus, just how popular soap is right now, and how important washing your hands well with soap is. So we're finding them to be even more popular right now. We've been seeing an uptick in online sales in our soap.
So can I unpack that a little bit, Erin? So what you're saying is that this chocolate soap smells like chocolate, does not taste like chocolate?
To be honest with you, I haven't tasted it.
Oh, okay.
Good plan.
But then it has cocoa butter, so it's good for your hands, right? The cocoa butter on it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice hard soap, so it's really good for lathering. Actually, on LinkedIn, I just put in Alton Brown. I'm a big fan of his on his cooking shows. Yeah. He just did a public service announcement on how to properly wash your hands, and he recommends a soap bar instead of a liquid soap, and it's supposed to be better than all of the hand sanitizer that we're out there buying up like crazy right now as well.
Okay.
How did you come up with the name Indi Chocolate?
Indi is my daughter. So that's part of the reason why Indi Chocolate is always lowercase, because my early grammar teachers always taught me that you always capitalize that, which is really important, which is family.
So that's why it's lowercase, because it's not family, but it's just
well, it's our
but it's your family business.
But it's about remembering that family is foremost important.
Awesome.
In good times and bad, and just in life.
Yeah, and I reached out to Erin especially because I know, and our next guest, Art, with the current environment, we know how small businesses are the ones that are always taking the chances, and they're always out there with their passion, right? And this is something that has become your passion. And I want to let the listeners know, like, how can they get a hold of these products that, let's not just talk about, we haven't even talked about the chocolate, because I know there are a ton of moms out there that are in quarantine that need a chocolate fix. So,
well, I don't discriminate against moms. I think everybody loves chocolate, and it's the time to hoard chocolate.
Yeah, forget the toilet paper, people. Let's do chocolate.
Let's buy chocolate. Right.
Much more fun.
Much more fun. Yes. Although you can't wrap your car. Well, okay, all right. So how do they find this chocolate? Because Pike Place Market, is it closed or no?
So the businesses like Honest Biscuits next door to me and Indi Chocolate, we are food businesses, so we have a takeout business. So we have really updated and really strengthened our protocols as far as cleanliness and how we sanitize, how we wash our hands even, that we're really doing a lot, as is the market, as far as sanitizing surfaces that are, door handles and all those kinds of things, to really keep the market clean and keep people healthy and safe. And so we are open. Okay. We really appreciate business. We really, really need help and support as small businesses right now. It's greatly appreciated. So if you can't make it in the store, we have our website, which is indichocolate.com, INDI, chocolate.com. And we'd really appreciate support, because these are very trying times right now, especially
Absolutely.
Yes, they are. Thank you for coming on the show today, Erin.
Thank you.
After the break, we're welcoming our final guest, Art Stone of Honest Biscuits, who will be discussing how small businesses are in crisis. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW. I'm Dan.
I'm Brian.
Wow, it's totally backwards. I'm not used to that. I'm used to you saying you're Brian first. Our next guest is Art Stone of Honest Biscuits. Art Stone is the owner of Honest Biscuit, based in Pike Place Market in downtown Seattle. He started the company in 2011 selling biscuits from the local farmers market, and today they sell all sorts of Southern and baked related foods of all kinds. Stone grew up in North Carolina and made biscuits with his grandmother on the farm in Sampson County. After careers in filmmaking and the law, Art moved to Seattle to start Honest Biscuits. Welcome to the show, Art.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we're going to ask you hobbies and interests when you're not working, which may be right now, but I know you're managing your business. What are some of your hobbies and interests?
Well, I hate to copy Erin's answer, but as a small business owner, it's more hobbies that I used to have, like hiking and cooking was a big one. I try to do that as much as I can, but yeah, early stage anyway, in small businesses, you spend most of your time working in the business in one way or another.
Yeah, it's true. We'd like to ask each of our guests to share a fond memory of the home that they grew up in. What's your story?
Well, mine is actually, it was the transition between two homes. It's just kind of funny. We moved from our first home to my parents' I guess, dream home that they built, which is still, my dad still lives in. But we're in the moving process, and somehow we ended up, my dad and I, at the old house with 2 cars and nobody else. And I was 15 at the time, had my learner's permit. And my dad is a real law and order, play by the rules kind of guy, but he just couldn't figure out what he was going to do to get the car over there. So he let me drive without him in the car. That was my first time driving by myself for like 2 miles from the old house to the new house. But they were both great houses, but that's
Quite a story.
That's awesome. So tell us about Honest Biscuits.
Well, we call it Honest to Goodness Kick-Ass Biscuits. We use all local, all natural ingredients. We sell other related Southern food as well. But the biggest thing, we started in the farmers markets. I started originally baking the biscuits and going to the farmers markets and selling them by myself, and eventually got help and hired people and grew from there. But it's all about the local ingredients. We use shepherd's grain flour, which is the wheat's grown in Washington State. And we started developing other flavors with things like Beecher's cheese in them. And then the flavors grew as we met new farmers. We, had started adding different flavors based on the cool ingredients that we found in the farmers markets.
How'd you end up making biscuits in Seattle?
Well, I felt like I needed a life change. And so we moved to Seattle, and I sort of took stock of my life, and I'd always wanted I'd always been happiest working in food. So I wanted to start a food business. And the biscuit part just came about. I tried a bunch of different ideas, but it was kind of the most honest. I grew up in the South, and like I said in the bio, I made biscuits with my grandmother, and people just really responded to it really well.
So the elephant in the room is your business has been affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. How have you been affected? Well,
normally March is a great time of year for a lot of small businesses, but especially businesses in the market, because it's the time when after the deadly slow winter, things start to pick up. But that didn't happen this year, and kind of went the opposite direction. Our business is down quite a bit before the order this week of people not being able to eat out. So it's gradually gone from half takeout and half delivery to mostly delivery. So we're hanging in there.
So you guys are delivering out to the community?
Well, we go through several partners like Uber Eats. I'll mention them because they just recently, I guess because of this, they said they're not going to charge the restaurants their usual fees during this time. So,
wow, that's great.
So we have several delivery partners like that.
So how are you seeing this affecting the hospitality industry in general? Is it across the board for everybody, or what are you seeing?
Oh, yeah, it really is. A lot of restaurants have closed. As of last week, it was over 40, and I'm sure it's way more now.
Wow.
Now because of the order this week, a lot of people, tried to do the takeout thing, but unless they already kind of had that going for them, it hasn't worked. So places have closed temporarily. A number of restaurants have closed permanently. And the biggest impact is, I think, on the employees. There's so many employees now that are losing hours or being laid off entirely.
So how can our listeners support a business like yours? I mean, not just your business, but businesses like yours right now.
Yeah, I would encourage that. to support as many as you can. The hospitality industry, I feel like is hardest hit, but it's kind of trickling down to everybody. So anything you can do to purchase things from these businesses, if you can't buy, you can buy gift certificates. I mean, we ship our biscuits all across the country, so anybody can buy our biscuits and support that. But yeah, I would just do anything you can to support these businesses, particularly the small independent businesses. I feel like the bigger chains and stuff, nothing against them, but I feel like they have more resources to survive something like this.
Well, Art, let me add something to that, because I think you mentioned something that I want the listeners to pay attention to is you can actually buy gift cards. And when you buy gift cards directly from these vendors, whoever they are, that money goes into their accounts right away. And then when the stuff comes back around, you can go out and get your food. So if you're out there and you're thinking, man, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to kind of call the local business, say, hey, can I buy a gift card for $30? Can I buy a gift card for dinner for $20 or $25? That's a huge, huge hit. And I think that's one way that you can just order half dozen gift cards for the meals that you're saving money on, probably by eating the frozen hot dogs that are in the freezer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's we're doing our house. We're like, hey, we got a bunch of frozen stuff here. Let's do that. And in our office too, just today, we had somebody run out and buy a bunch of takeout from a local place and bring it back. And tomorrow is Mediterranean Kitchen, one of my favorites.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, you can't know how much the small businesses appreciate that. And I just wanted to also say something. The Seattle Good Business Network has on their website, they're promoting all kinds of local small businesses. And I think next week they're going to have one specifically devoted to people open during this time, but also how you can help out small businesses during this time.
What's it called?
The Seattle Good Business Network.
The Seattle Good Business Network. Okay.
Art, you say you ship your biscuits. Can people buy from you online?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do they reach you? How do we do that?
Honestbiscuits.com. And we're on GoBelly, but there's links on our website to all of that stuff.
So what kind of things can they get online?
Mostly biscuits. We also ship like our coffee from Seven Coffee Roasters, another local small business. We ship biscuit mixes. We have, things, t-shirts and mugs and stuff like that, but mostly biscuits.
So biscuits and swag, right?
Exactly.
What's your favorite biscuit? What's your personal fave?
My personal is called the McGregor. It has bacon in it, Beecher's cheese, and caramelized onion.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's order some biscuits.
I was going to say, what time you guys open tomorrow?
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Right.
Okay. I'll be down there. And get some biscuits. So finally, is there anything else that we can share with anybody listening out there and how we can support you and your business this week?
No, just like I said, I mean, it's, like you said, some people don't want to go out, but I think a lot of the delivery services are adapting. You can get no contact delivery where just leave the food. And I mean, I know that every restaurant is hyper aware of cleanliness and sanitation and protecting both you and ourselves and our workers from transferring any of this. So you should be able to feel some confidence in that.
Awesome.
Art, thank you for coming on the show. Really,
thank you for having me.
Yeah. So remember, all segments of our show are available to watch on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about any of our guests, please subscribe. Join us after the break for some final thoughts and something fun to do.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Real Talk on 1150 KKNW. And Brian, we're about to get into our final thought of the day. What do you got for us?
I think after listening to our guests, just thinking about small business and just that, people, this is a big deal. The virus is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
People are hunkering down, but this is going to pass. And I think that as we pull together as a community, remembering, our business owners being out there using the delivery services, I know that for my wife and I, we've been out hitting some of the mom and pop restaurants, and they really appreciate our business, and I think that, in a few months or whatever, weeks when this is behind us, I want them to be there. So I would say, like we were talking earlier, there's still ways of buying homes. It's a terrific market. Rates are fabulous. Don't let the fear slow you down. Come out and buy a house, or at least buy dinner.
Yeah, I know that, we've been talking a lot reaching out to the people that I know and just kind of ask them, you know, what do you see the bigger picture of this is?
Right.
I've got a really good friend of mine who he rides bikes, you know, so he's basically ridden across the United States a couple of times. And he rides in Snoqualmie Valley. And those of you that know where Snoqualmie Valley is, pretty common riding trail, and people kind of go up to Monroe and back. And it's a beautiful valley. If you get a chance, you can go take a drive right now, right, with the sun shining. But he said in his 18 years of riding, I think it's Highway 202 that runs from Falls City to Monroe. He saw so many families and so many couples and kids walking on the trail, right? And I think that this has been that sea change or that push, because there's so much information in the news that people just have to put the phone down. It's just too much.
Right.
So they're kind of deciding to make a transition to say, enough is enough. We're going to get out. So I would, you know, it's not raining, folks. So get out and go for a walk, go for a run, go for a hike.
Get outside.
So that brings us to some fun things to do. Brian, do you have a favorite trail or a place to walk?
You know, we like the Sammamish Lake Trail. It runs all along the east side of Lake Sammamish. That's a favorite. And got to go do that.
Yeah, my daughter got up early. I've asked her to go hiking with me, but she ended up going hiking with some other boy, 4:30 in the morning for a sunrise hike up to Rattlesnake Ledge.
I heard that was crowded over the weekend.
Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of people out for hikes.
Well, this was what, 2 days ago. So midweek, early morning. Probably I don't know if it was other people, but you know, it was a clear day. So
I was having another thought about confidence. Just people are a little spooked by the stock market, but they're having a sale. It's a great time to buy. I had someone ask me for a stock tip yesterday, and I suggested Boeing. I hear they're taking off.
Just to be clear, Brian is not his viewpoints. They're taking off.
So what's fun to do?
This weekend, venture out. Washington Trails Association, or WTA.org, will give you trail. All Trails is an app that I've used on my phone that'll allow you to kind of find an intermediate level hike. All Trails.
Got any open houses scheduled?
No, we can't do open houses. Nope.
Well, then call us up. We'll do a video tour for you.
We'll do a private video tour for you. If there's a house that you're curious about, give us a call, 425-200-4093. You want to take us out, Brian?
You bet. That concludes our show for this week. Especially want to thank our guests, Doug, Erin, and Art, for taking the time to speak with us today. Thank you all for listening. And before we go, in the words of Michael Ferreira, success in real estate starts when you believe you are worthy.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining our show. Go out and support your small businesses. Thanks, Art. Take care. That's a wrap.
There we go.